I am Marnix Devaney, presenting for Vanessa Jacobs, Kevin Matamoros-Banegas, and Dihan Su. Our group did the Sichuan earthquake that occurred in China in the year 2008. A little bit of background on the earthquake. It occurred in Sichuan, China on May 18th of 2008. The epicenter of the earthquake was 92 kilometers west of the city of Chengdu, near another city called Dujiangyan, and was at a depth of 11.8 miles beneath the surface of the Earth. This earthquake occurred along the Longmen-Shan Fault, a reverse thrust fault, and it was a result of the Indian, Australian, and Eurasian plates colliding. Due to this, a portion of the plateau of Tibet was shifted to the east. The human impact of this earthquake was very high. Many people lost their lives. 69,000 people died as a result of this earthquake. 80% of the structures in the area in which the earthquake occurred were destroyed. Villages, towns, and mountains were destroyed, and many schools collapsed. Hundreds of dams, including two major ones, were found to have sustained damage. The lack of livestock and the destruction of crops caused famine to set in, which was a huge product of the devastating earthquake. Many people also believed that the faulty construction was to blame for the collapse of multiple school buildings, and people questioned if the official report for the death toll of children was even accurate, because many claimed that it was too low to be true. The environmental impact of this earthquake was also very drastic. The landform, climate, ecology, and so on were all undergoing drastic changes during this time. These impacts were regional, and they involved the lithosphere, biosphere, hydrosphere, and atmosphere. As for the lithosphere, roads, railways, and buildings were damaged and sometimes even destroyed by landslides, debris flow, land subsidence, and aftershocks that occurred and were formed by the earthquake. The biosphere was also affected. As stated in the previous slide, many crops were destroyed, which led to the soil being exposed. The soil being exposed leads to excessive sediment, which leads to rivers being blocked and the geomorphology of the entire region being changed. The water conservation and soil conservation efforts that were going on in the area were tossed out as a result of this earthquake. A lot of these things were destroyed, which left a lot of the biodiversity of the area to be destroyed as well. The hydrosphere and atmosphere were also greatly affected. There was lots of air pollution and water pollution in the area. Many people found that they couldn't get clean water to drink because a lot of it was polluted because of, again, runoff and debris flow and landslides that occurred as a result of the earthquake. 34 barrier lakes were formed as a result of different landslides that affected the rivers in the area. Despite all of this, there are some quote-unquote fun facts. The building practices in the area were to blame for lots of the destruction. As a result, 7,000 of the schoolhouses were called tofu dreg schoolhouses. Tofu dreg is a substance that is created once you make tofu, and it's the stuff that you toss out because it's just no good for anything. So to call a schoolhouse tofu dreg is quite insulting. Another fun fact of this earthquake was that there was a lot of public policy changes. Many locals pointed fingers at the building codes in the area. They weren't strict enough and they weren't enforced enough, so many local officials were to blame when many of the schoolhouses were destroyed. The Chinese government, on a national level, created some legislation that would push for stricter building codes in the countryside as a result of this earthquake. Another part of this earthquake were the changes in attitudes towards natural hazards. Some of the government buildings that were destroyed were left destroyed as a memorial to the earthquake and were not repaired. An entire lake called the Tangshan Lake was formed as a result of the earthquake. A landslide blocked the river, and this blocked river caused a lot of the river flow to be stopped, and as a result of the river flow stopping, the lake was formed. These are our sources that we used, and thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.